top stories on the hour. At least 10 dead and scores trapped as heavy rains pound India. 21 injured after third night of attacks in Odesa. Plus, all eyes set on Australia as FIFA's Women's World Cup kicks off today. Welcome to the World News on voptv. I am Joy Adesua Iramoseli. We begin with news of the FIFA Women's World Cup kicking off in Australia today. Nigerian Super Falcons, who travelled to Melbourne this morning for the Group B clash, while with file out against Olympic champions Canada. The Super Falcons are expected to return to their base, the Sofitel Hotel Centre in Brisbane, after the game for Melbourne Rectangular Stadium on Friday morning. The nine-time African champions will stay at the Marriott Hotel, Avenger Park in Melbourne. Randy Wajon's side will take on Australia and debutant Republic of Ireland in their next group game in Brisbane. The two games will be played at the Brisbane Stadium. The 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, which will be co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand, will start on Thursday and will run through August 20th. Meanwhile, security will be heightened ahead of the Thursday night's opening Women's World Cup game after a gunman killed two people at the downtown construction site in Auckland, roughly 12 hours ahead of co-hosting New Zealand's match against Norway. Norway's team hotel was located within a short distance of the shooting, which occurred in the tourist area of the city near the Harbour Ferry terminal. Norway team captain said his teammates were awakened by the helicopter hovering outside the hotel. Officials from Eden Park, where the game was scheduled to be played following an opening ceremony for the tournament, encouraged ticket holders to arrive to the stadium early. Ukrainian officials stated that a third night of Russia air attacks targeting Ukraine's southern cities, including the port city of Odesa, and injured at least 21 people. The region's governor, Vitaly Kim, disclosed in a statement on Telegram that at least 19 people were hurt in Mykolaiv, a southern city close to the Black Sea. Russian strikes destroyed several floors of the three-story building and caused a fire, which affected an area of 450 square meters and burned for hours. Kim stated that two people, including a child, were admitted to hospital. Odesa governor disclosed that in a port city of Odesa, at least two were injured after a Russian air attack, which damaged buildings in the city center and caused a fire affecting an area of 300 square meters. The attacks come a day after an intense Russian bombardment using drones and missiles damaged critical port infrastructure in Odesa, including grain and oil terminals. Rescue workers in India battled difficult terrain and bad weather on Thursday as they searched for more than 100 people feared trapped in a landslide that killed at least 10 villagers after incessant rain soaked a mountain slope. A wave of extreme heat, wildfires, torrential rains, and flooding has wreaked havoc around the world in recent days, raising new fears about the pace of climate change. Officials stated that the land collapsed in the middle of the night in a remote mountain hamlet in the western state of Maharashtra, after 60 kilometers from Mumbai. 10 bodies have been recovered and more than 80 people have been rescued. The state deputy chief minister, Devendra Fadnavis, told the state assembly it was estimated that at least 225 people lived in the hamlet. More than 100 of them were feared trapped in the debris. Meanwhile, 3 people have been killed in Croatia and 1 died in Slovenia as a result of the severe wind and heavy rainfall on Wednesday. Earlier, the Civil Protection Directorate reported that 2 people were killed as a result of fallen trees caused by strong winds and heavy rains in Croatia capital Zagreb. It disclosed in a statement that 2 men lost their lives due to severe head injuries and the number of injured is not yet known. Later, Director of Civil Protection Damir Trot disclosed that 1 more person died in town of Nova Gradiška near Bosnia border. Meanwhile, a storm killed a woman in Slovenia's resort town of Bled, while a man was seriously injured. The adverse weather conditions have also caused significant material change in Croatia. Emergency centers received hundreds of calls regarding fallen trees and traffic signals disruptions on streets and public areas. Telephone and electricity lines have been damaged, and there are reports of roof damage to houses, buildings, and commercial facilities. 1 person has died and 41 others have been injured after an underground explosion in the Johannesburg Center Business District on Wednesday. The explosion caused panic, splitting a busy street open and leaving many vehicles damaged, with some blown off the road by the force of the blast. Reporters on the scene described the intense smell of gas lingering in the air. Initial reports reveal that 9 people have been injured, but this was revised by Joburg's Emergency Management Service spokesperson Robert Malauzi. In a tweet, Malauzi confirmed that a body has been recovered by firefighters, while 41 others were treated for serious or minor injuries on the scene. Reporters tried to reach out to Malauzi to confirm this, but was unsuccessful. Prime Minister Narendra Modi broke more than 2 months of public silence over deadly ethnic clash in India's northeast, saying on Thursday that the assaults of 2 women and as they have been paraded naked by a mob in Manipur state were unforgivable. A video showing the assault triggered massive outrage and went viral late on Wednesday, despite the internet being largely blocked and journalists being locked out in the remote state. It showed 2 naked women being surrounded by scores of young men who grouped their genitals and dragged them to a field. He urged heads of state government to ensure the safety of women and said the incident is shameful for any civilized nation. The violence depicted in the video was emblematic of the near civil war in Manipur that had left more than 130 people dead since May, as mobs rampaged through villages, killing people and torching houses. Australia on Thursday announced targeted sanctions against 35 Russian defense technology and energy entities and 10 Russian Belarusian individuals. Among the individuals sanctioned are Russia Commissioner for Human Rights Tayana Maskova, First Deputy Speaker of the Federation Council Andrei Tachak, First Deputy Prime Minister Andrei Basov, Vladimir Lepin, the head of Russian army manufacturers, and Nikolai Kolevtsov, the chief Russia's largest producer of military helicopters. The list also includes Belarusian military officials who represented a threat for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Australia has already sanctioned more than 1,100 individuals and entities supporting the invasion of Ukraine. Russia leader Vladimir Putin agreement with President Cyril Ramaphosa to miss the BRICS summit is not an act of cowardice. The South African government said instead that the Russian president had shown the highest level of statesmanship despite provocation from the West. Mapaila was reacting to news that Putin will no longer be traveling to South Africa to attend the 15th BRICS Summit next month. Mapaila was speaking on the sidelines of the BRICS political party plus dialogue in Brugborg on Wednesday after the presidency announced that Putin will instead be represented by his foreign minister Sergei Lavrov at the summit. There has been mixed reactions to the news, with many commending the government's decision to avoid another embarrassment similar to when the government defied an international criminal court decision in 2015 by not arresting Omar al-Bashir. The deputy chief of China's manned space program stated on Wednesday that the construction of the first reusable spacecraft with a crew of 7 will be completed by 2027. Vice Chief Designer at China Manned Space Engineering Office, Yang Liwei, stated that it will also play a critical role in the future construction of China's space station and moon landing mission. As part of China's manned space program, new spacecraft will be produced for its manned landing on the moon and space station construction on its surface. The spacecraft will have the capacity to carry 7 astronauts, making it comparable to the SpaceX's Dragon V2 and Boeing CST-100 Starliner. It is planned to measure 8.8 meters in length and width to 21.6 tons, twice the size of Dragon V2. It will be used with a separate lunar landing spaceship, specialized lunar spacesuits, manned mover, and other equipment to achieve China's moon landing goal by 2023. Finally, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen stated that the U.S. considers building strong economic and security ties with Vietnam a priority Thursday as she met with Vietnamese officials in a visit aimed at fortifying Americans' relationship across Asia. Yellen arrived in Vietnam after a visit to Beijing and to India, where she attended financial meetings of the group of 20 major industrial economies. And that's it on VOP World News. I'm Joy Odesa. VOP Business comes up shortly. Good afternoon.